Alright, so our learning targets are I can explain the brutality or ugliness of the Iran-Iraq War, and I can analyze how countries around the world influenced the Iran-Iraq War. So part 1, why the war started and why it's important. Why the war started. Right after the Iranian Revolution of 1979, Iraq saw an opportunity. Iran's government was brand new and still figuring everything out, which made them disorganized and weak. Iraq and Iran are neighbors, and Iraq saw this as an opportunity for two reasons. The first was that if Iraq invaded Iran, they could take valuable land from Iran near the border of the two countries, so right along this area, which was very important and valuable because of access to the Persian Gulf, which is waterways here. Rivers that lead to the ocean are very important to countries who want to make money trading. The second reason was that Iraq's leader, Saddam Hussein, wanted to be the most powerful country/leader in the area. He believed that if he could become even more powerful, he would be the top leader in the Middle East with the most control of the region. Why does this war matter? Or why did this war matter? Iran's new government was being led by a group of Shia Muslims, and Iraq was being led by a Sunni Muslim leader, Saddam Hussein. But his country had many Shia Muslims. Saddam feared that if Iran became more powerful then, that he too would be overthrown by his Shia population that he was oppressive to, meaning treated poorly. So in Iraq, the leader, Saddam Hussein, is a Sunni Muslim, but he is in control of a lot of Shia Muslims, of which he treats very poorly. So he's afraid they'll revolt against him because they're inspired by Iran. The war lasted 8 years and was very violent and destructive. Iraq used chemical weapons and bombs on Iran, which had been banned worldwide after World War I because of how gross and evil they are. Many countries outside of Iran and Iraq got involved, which made things worse. The reason so many countries got involved is because they wanted influence in the area to make money selling weapons, or they too wanted to support Sunni interests. So once again, this is the two countries, this is the border they share. That's the leader of Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Answer the questions of who started the war and why, what made the war so ugly and last so long, and why did so many other countries get involved. Part 2, foreign involvement. So in here, you're making a double bubble chart, which means you'll draw bubbles over here, and then draw arrows depending if the country supported Iran, you draw a country, circle around it, and draw an arrow to it. If they supported both, you draw a circle, draw an arrow to both. If they supported just Iraq, you would draw a circle, write the country name, and draw an arrow to Iraq. So the Soviet Union, today Russia. The Soviet Union tried as hard as they could to remain neutral, and at first was willing to supply both countries with weapons. But Iran's actions made it impossible to work with both sides. First, Iran did not trust the Soviet Union and it angered them by banning the Communist Party within Iran and kicking out 18 Soviet diplomats. Then, as Iran started to get more aggressive in the war, they planned on overthrowing Iraq's leader Saddam Hussein. If Iran was successful, the Soviet Union would have even less power in the Middle East. Because of Iran acting cold to their friendship offers and the fear of losing Iraq as an ally, the Soviet Union decided to fully increase their support of Iraq. Between 1986 and 1988, the Soviets delivered Iraq weapons valued roughly 8.8 to 9.2 billion, comprising of more than 2,000 tanks, 300 fighter aircraft, and almost 300 surface-to-air missiles, and thousands of pieces of heavy artillery and armored personal vehicles. North Korea. North Korea was the largest military supplier to Iran during the Iraq and Iran War. North Korea would also give weapons from the Soviet Union to Iran in secret to hide the fact that the Soviet Union was involved. North Korea's motivation was to gain wealth and oil. By the end of the war, North Korea supplied over $1 billion worth of military equipment and supplies to Iran. Jordan. Jordan and Iraq are located side by side and have in the past been close friends. Although throughout 1980 to 88 Iran-Iraq war, Jordan supported Iraq politically and economically. Jordan's port of Aqaba and its trucking routes became Iraq's main supply line throughout the 8 years of the war. In return, Jordan received oil from Iraq at prices far below market value. Jordan was also a close ally of America and served as a middleman to sneak weapons and support to Iraq from America. America did this so they could claim to remain neutral while still attempting to influence the outcome of the war. Syria. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Although they had little in common, Iran and Syria formed a close bond over their hatred of Saddam Hussein and his country of Iraq. The friendship that remains strong to this day started when Syria provided missiles and military training to Iran during the war. Additionally, Syria also helped disrupt Iraq's economy by messing with their oil supply. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was afraid of what the Iranian Revolution could mean for its own country, so they took an extremely active role in providing support to Iraq during the war. It is estimated that Saudi Arabia supplied over $25 billion worth of loans to Iraq to support their war effort. And last, the United States of America. America heavily supported Iraq in the war because they were looking to become allies with Iraq. After the fall of the Shah in Iran, America lost a lot of its influence and resources in the Middle East. Iraq was another oil-rich country that would help America gain power. It also helps that Saddam Hussein, their leader, could be won over with money and weapons. America told the world they were neutral, but secretly did what they could to gain influence. This means America was willing to sell weapons to both Iraq and Iran. America wanted to regain its friendship with Iran, so they used Israel to get Iran weapons. We did not directly sell weapons to Iran, but we would give tons of weapons to Israel, who would then give weapons to Iran. America also gave Iran intelligence reports that helped them battle the Iraqis. After it was leaked that America was helping Iran, America had to choose a side. Because their friendship could be bought, America chose Iraq.